Happy Sunday, team. This week I went for my 4-month checkup on my nose, and I actually realised we have never spoken about this. I have never updated you, and as someone who was looking on the internet for anyone who had been through the process, who shared their experience to give me a little bit of comfort or a little bit of understanding of what I was getting myself into, I thought I'd make this video because I wish I had access to it before starting the entire process. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to caveat this to start with I am not pro surgery. I am not against surgery. I am pro do what makes you happy, okay? If a nose job is going to make you happy, you do you. If you don't want it, you do you. Like, everyone just stay in their own lanes. But those who are looking to get any type of surgery or looking to specifically get rhinoplasty, all I can do is share my experience, and we are now at the 4-month anniversary. He said, like, virtually the whole thing has been complete, but I will dive into exactly my entire process from start to finish, how it felt, what people don't tell you, what people do tell you, and the biggest pieces of advice I could give anyone who wants this procedure. If we roll right back to where this started from, I have had Slim Jim lips, okay? Like non-existent lips from the age I was born. So as soon as I hit 18, I was like, woohoo, filler me up. Let's go, fantastic. Filler was like this new thing, or relatively new thing, and I thought, bingo, let's get rid of this flat lip. In we go, straight in, and I was an avid filler user for maybe like 4 or 5 years. Never went crazy, like I was just like a half a mil here and there, top me up, but it made the world of difference. And then one day I saw this video that had literally put me off filler forever, but basically this doctor was saying like filler never actually dissolves. So it may look like your lips have gone down, but actually what's happened is the filler's just like dissolved into your face, because it can never like physically dissolve. So what that means over years and years of use is that it's just seeping into like these different parts of your face. And that's why when older people, you see like really like old puffy faces, it's because they've had years and years of filler and it's all just kind of dispersed into different areas. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like 22 or 23. So I've already had 4 or 5 years of filler injected into me, and as soon as I saw that video I was like, enough is enough, let's stop this now. And it completely scared me off having it, because I thought, well, I've started young, so I'm in a bad place. I then discover online there's something called a lip lift. Now this is like a surgical procedure where basically they cut just under the nose, lift the skin and then sew it back up, so it appears that your lips are bigger, but it's surgical. And I thought, absolute winner winner, chicken dinner, bingo, because no subscription package anymore, which filler like every 6 months you're back again getting more filler. So you've never got that ongoing cost. It's like a one-hit wonder. I was like, this is incredible. And actually, rumor has it like Kim Kardashian's had this done, and that's why it like came up on my For You page, and I was like, oh, what is this? They went into more detail. A lip lift, and I was like, that is exactly what I need. If I'm not using filler, this could be like a permanent surgical option. Fan-bloody-tastic. So I was looking to get out of this some juicy, bootylicious, kissable, gorgeous lips that I wouldn't need to have filler for. So I was in the market for a surgeon. Now, where do you bloody start doing that? Like, I was just Googling, but it's so difficult because like a lot of people don't share their reviews, like their outcomes online, because people don't want to let everyone know that they've had work done. Some people keep it very private, some people are much more open. So it's very difficult to actually like know where to start, know what to look for. But the things I did definitely know for a fact was, one, I wanted it done in the UK because I just felt happier with the standards. I knew it was highly regulated, so it was going to be safer, but also recovery. Like, I don't want to be flying. I don't want something to go wrong and me have to fly back. Like, not for me, thank you. So that was my like number one criteria, is that it was going to be UK based. I find a few options and book in a few consultations. One being with someone mum had used previously for a little, she got a facelift, but she doesn't like to call it that. Anywho, So I went to him first, actually. In a lot of cases, you actually have to pay for a consultation, obviously, so you don't like waste their time or whatever. But yeah, I paid for like this first initial consultation. Very, very excited. So I went in, and the first thing they do is you obviously have a chat, and then they're like, are you happy for us to just take some photos? So they took photos, like a mugshot, like front, side, middle, up, down. So we got the photos up, and he was basically just like, okay, well, talk me through your face. And obviously I was talking about my lips, the filler situation, etc., etc. But then I also like touched on my nose. Like my nose, I have never been happy with. Like looking at my side profile, like I just always hate to look at it. And it's not something I was like crying myself to sleep over, but I just knew it could be better. And I have my dad to blame for my nose, unfortunately. Thanks, Dad. The Oars are just known, like renowned for big noses. Like our noses live in another postcode, like let's be honest. My brothers have it, like we all just have it. And it's something like I've always thought about having a nose job, but I just thought, actually, it seems quite an invasive, it seems like quite a huge process. I'm not sure, like I am scared of a needle touching me. I'm scared of just like the smell of a hospital. I can faint by just smelling the smell of a hospital. I was like, let's walk before we can run. I feel like a lip lift would be like an easier into this whole surgery world. So anyway, we spoke about them both because he said like, I do need a holistic picture, and I understand now why he was saying this. But basically what he was saying is like, actually, if you are ever looking to get your nose done, it will then affect kind of like the rest of your face. So for example, like my nose has been lifted, it's been made smaller, and naturally that has an impact on then how much they would have taken up on the lips. So he said I would never do the two procedures together because I'd need to see how the nose heals before we know how much to increase the lips by. So honestly, my whole world was like spun round. Like I walked in looking for my lips done, walked out with a nose job. Like did not expect it, but I actually really, really appreciated like his honesty and transparency because it's got me the better results, as opposed to just like giving me what I want kind of thing. In terms of a first consultation, I could not have been more pleased. Like he was like an artist. He was like Picasso. He had this iPad and he was drawing it all out on my different face shapes and the different techniques he would use to change each part of the nose and all the different like intricacies. And he just made me feel very listened to, very understood, very comfortable. Because I thought, if he can draw like this, like just imagine, like it is kind of a creative craft, I guess. Like he was particular. His office was like pristine, and I just thought that he's the type of guy that I'd want to do my nose. I have been in places before, especially when I was like getting lip filler, where I'd go in and they'd be like, oh gorgeous, you should really do with some chin filler, and you could do with a little bit of Botox here. Like they'd almost like pick out problems that you never even were conscious of or never knew you had, and you actually came out thinking, oh my god, I've got loads more problems with me. Whereas actually he wasn't like that at all, although it sounds like he was because we've kind of changed body parts, but he genuinely wasn't. He was like, listen, I don't think there's any problem, but if you have a particular issue with this piece, let's look at that. Do you know what I mean? So it was very, very much more like, listen, like I just want you to be happy with it, like no one else kind of matters. So I left that consultation feeling very relaxed, actually very excited. He was very much like no hard sell at all. He was like, am I the first guy you've seen? I was like, yeah. He was like, we'll see at least 2 others because I want you to be super, super happy with whoever you do choose, and you need to have choice in order to make that decision. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Like there was no pushiness about it. It was like, this is what we could do together, but there's no pressure, have a think, because he was very much like, this is not only a physical change, but a psychological change. Like what you're putting your body through, you have to be super, super comfortable with, because it's not just the procedure, it's the aftermath, it's the recovery, it's everything else. And basically you are living with this for life. I would 100% recommend to anyone who is getting any type of surgery whatsoever, go to at least 2, potentially 3, more if you need to, surgeons to get a really good understanding, because unless I went to a different one, I wouldn't have known how good my first one was. Does that make sense? Because you've got nothing to compare it to. So if you have other options, even if you're not as happy with those, it makes you confirm your decision and makes you feel like you are making the right decision. So I would 100% recommend that to anyone. Okay, so then I had decided on who was going to do the surgery. I had decided on what surgery I was going in for. This time it's rhinoplasty. So I had known 3 different people who had had a nose job and were not happy with the results. Like, I couldn't even imagine, like, because I'm so scared and anxious about medical procedures in general, I knew this had to be a hole-in-one. I was like, this has to be a Tiger Woods situation, like, shot put in, thank you very much, because we're not going back here again. This is too traumatic. Not only is it traumatic and you've got the recovery and all that, but it also costs an absolute fortune. And the fact that those 3 people are going to have to go through the whole process again, pay again for the revision, etc., I was like, not for me. So the second consultation, a few months later, was to design my nose. So I went into that meeting fired up, very, very excited, but I wanted to be so clear, because I was like, well, those 3 people all weren't happy with the results. Now, that could have been for a number of reasons. 1, it could be the surgeon. 2, it could be the way their particular body just recovered from it. Or 3, they weren't specific enough with exactly what they wanted. And the other 2 are kind of out of your control. So what I wanted to do when I was going into this consultation was to be so clear, because I was just so adamant we can't go through this again. So we jumped into the consultation, loads of photos again, they're all on screen, and we are designing this bitch. We're loving life. Okay, so I wanted it smaller in every way, shape or form. He was like, okay, so you want it like shorter to your face? I was like, we want a bit of that. He was like, do you want it lifted up? Absolutely, I do. I wanted it like slopey, but not too slopey. It's kind of like finding the balance. But basically, I was explaining like each side, and like my main issue was with the side profile. So I just wanted it to, I'll have to show you before and afters, but it was just not this shape. The tip came down, and he was like, actually, if we lift that a little bit, it's a little bit more feminine. We can have a little bit of a slope. We can make it smaller, make it more fitting your face. And honestly, I felt so comfortable. And I actually shared with him, listen, 3 of my friends have had this done and they need it redoing. They didn't come to you, by the way, but like, I can't have that. Like, I explained everything. I explained exactly how I was feeling in every way, shape or form. So he understood exactly where I was, and he was like, I completely get it. And no one can guarantee results. It's just not how it works. However, now I've got a really clear understanding of what you do want. I am so clear going into the operating room. He really put my mind at ease. And I would say communication is the most important thing. Like, this is something that's going to be on your body for the rest of your life. So do not be scared to be like, hang on, can we look at that revision again? Like, can we take that in a little bit? Could we do that a little bit differently? Like, if you're not happy with something, say it then, because once you're on the operating table, you are not awake to talk for yourself. So we want to get this right beforehand, and that's what I would definitely recommend, is just being super clear. Taking some inspirational photos. I had a whole mood board going on, dream noses. So we had an absolute whale of a time. He put my mind at ease. I was super then excited going into the actual appointment. So we put a date in the diary, and then like maybe a week before, there's like a pre-op assessment. So they take like your blood pressure and make sure you are happy and healthy, and check like what medications you're on, see if you're allergic to everything, put in your meal orders for like after the surgery. Now I was just going in as a day case. They gave me the option of both. You can either stay in overnight or just go in the day. Based on the dates and the way it lined up, they only had day slots available. And I was like, is this going to be okay? Because I can't make the overnight ones. And they were like, we wouldn't have even offered you a day case if it wasn't like a thing, if it wasn't going to be safe for you to do. So you absolutely will be absolutely fine. You will come in quite early. You'll be the first one to get it done, and you'll leave later on in the day. So you will still be here for a significant amount of time. We wouldn't let you go if you weren't 100% happy and healthy and well. So I went for a day case and it was all booked in. The day of surgery arrives, you wake up, you obviously can't eat because you're about to go into like the whole operating thing. My appointment wasn't till 11, so I had the morning to just kind of like chill. I took it slow, I got some steps in, made myself feel good. Obviously nothing to eat, and after like 9 a.m. you weren't even allowed to drink either. And I made sure to have a good wash of the hair because I knew I wasn't able to get it wet for like 2 weeks. So make sure you're all clean, pristine, have a good book with you, pack your bag. Obviously I wasn't staying overnight, but it was nice to just have like my book, an iPad, like whatever you want to like kind of chill in the room. And then I made my way over. I can't remember. I must have driven. No, I didn't. I got dropped off. Because obviously you can't drive home. I got dropped off and they escorted me to my room. So I had a lovely little room with a little ensuite. The nurses came and met me. They were so lovely and put my mind at ease. And straight away I was like, I'm going to be a nervous passenger today. So, you know, whatever you need. And they were like, whatever you need, we're here for you. They were so sweet. They got me all dressed up in these like long socks and the vest, everything. I was in my little dress. I put on the room all nice and warm. The TV was on. I was having the time of my life, like on a little mini holiday. I had people like coming in and out all the time, asking me 100 million questions, like, have you drunk today? Have you eaten today? Etc. Making sure that I was completely hyped and ready to go, even a pregnancy test, and we were all good on that front. One of the final people to come and see me was the anaesthetist. I don't know how to say that, but the person who puts you to sleep. And also Mr. Mirando, he popped in, he sat down, he was like, okay, this is exactly what we're going through today. He ran through exactly what we'd spoken about in the previous consultation. I felt really comfortable. Again, photos for the before. And he also said, I have a trainee surgeon who has come from the university and is like shadowing us for the week. Would you mind if she comes and watches the operation? She won't be touching anything. She just wants to observe. I was like, knock yourself out, enjoy the show. So that was it, basically. He went on down, and then honestly it must have only been like an hour from me stepping foot in the surgery till like me actually going down to the operating theatre, which was so weird. I don't know what I was expecting, but I just kind of walked myself down with the nurse and walked into this room, and there seemed to be a lot of different people in there. You've obviously got the surgeon, the nurses, the anaesthetist, the lovely trainee apprenticeship person. I sat down, and this was the bit where I started to get a little bit nervous. Like, this was the first time I was thinking, ooh, what have we got ourselves into here? Are we sure about this? And I was like, no, I want this done. Like, just keep breathing. And honestly, the one thing that was worrying me most is that one injection to put me to sleep, because I knew once I was asleep, no cares in the world, but it was just getting me off. So the nurses were so lovely. We were chatting actually about selling Sunset, and before I knew it, I was off. So I then wake up in my room with two nurses who are like, hey Katie, hope you're well, are you feeling better? It's great to see you up. Operation went really well. Can I get you anything? And I'm just like, literally coming around like so groggy, not knowing what day it is, what time it is. I was actually in surgery for like 2 hours, which is 2 or 3 hours. That's wild. Like, I don't know what they're doing on this nose for so long. But yeah, I just started to come round, and with every minute that came by, I was like a little bit more with it. Now, oh my gosh, when I woke up, I am not joking, my mouth was like the Sahara. Like, I had not drank water in 2 weeks. Like, so dry. And I couldn't breathe out my nose at all, because at that point I had like two, like a cast on, obviously, but then they'd had like tissue, like almost like tampon things. I don't know whether they actually were tampons up each nostril, so you couldn't breathe at all. So I was like breathing through my mouth, which obviously you get dry mouth. So I just kept drinking water, like just bringing myself round, really, like nothing too crazy. I wasn't in any pain at all. I was just a bit like uncomfortable because I couldn't breathe through my nose. But then I started to feel like a little bit more human. They came in, they were like, hey, I know what you ordered, are you ready for your food? I was like, honestly, I just want some toast with strawberry jam. And that was absolutely chef's kiss, exactly what I needed, and a lovely hot chocolate to wash it all down, and started to kind of like feel myself again. Then they were just kind of like constantly checking in on me, checking my blood pressure, and I was just entertaining myself. So this is why you need books, laptops, etc. A couple of hours later, Mr. Mirando came back in to just check on me and check everything was right as it should be. He said it went really, really well, and he actually removed the two like tampon things so that I could then breathe from my nose, although it was all a little bit swollen, so I can't even remember how much I was breathing through my nose. But I remember when they came out, I felt a bit of relief because it just felt a lot easier. And then I had the cast on, and the lovely girl who was training, who was watching, she was like, honestly, thank you so much for letting me watch because it was fascinating. And I was like, oh, rather you than me. I do not want to know what was going on in that room. And that's something I would also say for my squeamish girlies or guys out there. I wouldn't recommend watching a video now before you go in. Now, I know for some people, it gives them comfort knowing what's going to happen to them. For me, that's not the case. Like, I don't want to know. Do you know what I mean? Like, put me to sleep, see you on the other side. I don't need to know. To this day, I've still not ever known. However, my friend did tell me how it works, and I don't know whether I want to go there. But anyway, he said it was a success. He lightly fractured my nose. He shaved, nip tuck, all complete. And now we were in recovery phase. So at around 8 p.m, they were like, okay, we're more than happy to let you go. So I got a lift home, and I actually went straight to mum's. I had already planned that I was going to be staying there for at least a week after the operation, because who beats a little bit of mum TLC? And that is exactly what I needed, because like you just like eat, sleep, repeat. Do you know what I mean? Like you're doing not much, and mum was just always like checking, making sure you've got fresh water, etc. Just an absolute 5-star service, 10 out of 10 TripAdvisor, great service, great facilities, had the time of my life. So I knew I was going to go and stay there. She had my whole like little bed situation set up. They had given me a lot of medication. So I had cocodamols, but they were like, take paracetamol. Basically, they said, take whatever pain medication that you need, because your body can't heal whilst you're in pain, which I didn't know. Very, very clever. But honestly, I never had to touch the cocodamols. Paracetamol did just the job. In terms of pain-wise, I can't tell you like how shocked I was, because I was in no pain at all whatsoever at any point, which is weird for me to say because I know what I've put myself through. Like that first evening, you're probably still high as a kite on whatever they're pumping around your body. But after that, I just went into like paracetamols, and I kept taking them. They said take them for the first like 3 or 4 days, every 4 hours, like regardless of whether you're feeling pain or not, because you do need them. I don't want you to start feeling pain because then you can't recover. So I did a doctor suggest. I followed doctor's orders. What was probably worse was it wasn't worse, but like I never felt pain, but you felt uncomfortable. Like it's not comfortable not being able to breathe through your nose. You are just like, you're just not your human self, you know. Like I just love getting up, going to the gym, like pottering. You're not doing any of that. You are completely like you're horizontal. Actually, when I say horizontal, you're not sleeping laying flat. You sleep sat up. So I'd have like big pillows like this, like genuinely like this, and this is like how I would sleep, like. And what you need to do is you need to like build like a wall of pillows like either side of you, so that you can just like, and I ended up like, so say all my pillows were like, so that you could just like, you know, like put your weight on it, but you're still upright. Do you know what I mean? Like if you have your pillows in the right situation, you're going to be flying. I thought I'd really struggle with that. But if you like, the more pillows, the merrier, you can kind of just prop yourself up and then, you know, I'd just wake up. So that first night, I woke up every like 3 hours, I want to say. I'd have some paracetamols if it was time. I'd have a drink, go to the bathroom if I needed to, and then went back to sleep. So it was a bit like in and out for that first night. And I was kind of just counting down the days till day 3 because everyone had said, like, once you have made it past day 3, you're past the worst. Now, honestly, those 3 days, you do start to think like, what have I done? I just feel terrible. I can't move. Like you're just kind of out of it. You're dazed. And not that I was in pain, but those 3 days I questioned everything. I was like, is this worth it? Should I have done it? You can't even see your results. Like everything's just like, and I just got so frustrated and like, it's uncomfortable. You're not sleeping properly. So those 3 days were the hardest. It's just a lot on your body. Like those toxins, they pump through you to make you asleep. Just getting those out of your system feels like a 3-day hangover. Your body is like recovering and really, really fighting through and washing out all these toxins. Once I left the hospital, I had a cast on. That cast was like a hard cast. I'll show you some photos. And that was on for a week. I then went back at the 7-day mark. They took that cast off and they put tape on. Now that tape stayed on for a further 7 days, and then I was able to remove the tape and just tape it at evening. So it was really 2 weeks before I ever saw any type of result. And they had set expectations that you do not expect to see any type of result until a year later, because you will be so swollen. But obviously you're so hyped to see it. And I was just genuinely very, very excited for the end result. So in that recovery period, the first 3 days are definitely the worst, and then you know you're on the mend and every single day seems to get easier after that. I would definitely recommend, if you are like booking time off work, 100% you need the first week off as a minimum. The second week you could potentially work from home, but no one recovers the same. Like this was just my experience. You could potentially work from home the second week, and then by the third week you've got no cast on, so you can be seen in the public and feel quite comfortable about it. So it kind of just depends where you lie, but I'd say minimum you need a week, ideally 2. The first day I didn't move at all. I did not leave the sofa at all. Then on the second day, I started to introduce steps. So the doctors and nurses really, really encouraged you to like go and get steps. The first day was like 10 minutes, like genuinely to the top of the road and back. But it felt good to have some fresh air, get out, get some like blood flowing again. It does help with recovery. And then every day after that, I started to kind of build up the step time. So it went from 10 to 20 to 30 to an hour worth of steps. And I started to feel just a lot more like yourself again. You're back to square one in terms of your fitness. Like you are genuinely just recovering and just doing what your body needs to recover. And it does feel, for me, because I do love going to the gym every day, it does feel like I've done this to myself. Like, why have I done this to myself? But looking back now I'm so happy with the results. I'm like, yeah, it was worth the couple of weeks of like ruining your routine, etc. But at the time it does like it's just a pain in the bum. And literally like every week from that point got easier. So at the 8-week mark, I was able to go back into the gym. Now I didn't go back in like full force. I kind of just started to build it up. So like Pilates obviously is like such a nice one to get started with, or even spin was like a good one because my head and like body was like still. I kind of stayed off the weights and just like did what feels right, but I definitely didn't do any type of exercise until that 8-week mark. And then like just doing it when you feel good. Like I play netball and I didn't play that for literally months because that's such a contact sport, and I was so scared of a ball hitting me, and it just didn't feel right. So that one I kind of left off. And I'm now at the 4-month mark. So this week we went for kind of a consultation check-in. There was check-ins at like multiple different points. So my next one now is not until like a year. He was really, really pleased with the results. And honestly, seeing my before and after, you actually forget. Like, I'm genuinely very, very pleased with the results. I went in about the nose, obviously about the lips to start with, but particularly about the nose was the side profile. And actually, I did not realise until it was done how wonky my front was. I'll show you like the before and after. I thought we were just concentrating on the side, but actually you'd straighten the front, and I didn't realise how wonky the straight was until it was straight. Wild, 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 wild. So yeah, we're at the 4-month mark. He said he's pleased with progress. I'm still numb here to touch, which is funny. I'm still like gentle around it, but that's definitely still numb. He said I've probably got 10% of swelling still to go down, so it's only going to get a little bit more defined and a little bit smaller potentially, but he said about 10%, and that we are nearly there. But I am still taping every evening. He said if I go on flights, if you tape it, it will reduce swelling. Taping it at night reduces swelling. Saunas is something I've not reintroduced back yet. So he said, well, now you're at the 4-month mark, you could probably use a sauna if you wanted to, but I wouldn't advise it because your nose will double in size. I was like, oh, fantastic. So I think it would shrink back down after, but I think the heat and stuff just like really, really swells it. So I'm going to lay off. I'm not that desperate for a sauna. I'm going to lay off the saunas for a while. Looking back at the whole process, absolutely so glad I've had it done. But a few things, if you are getting it done, these are my absolute ride or dies, would definitely recommend that you have before you get it done. Ice packs are going to be an absolute godsend. Every evening I put ice packs on my face as I was going to sleep. I just feel like you're so swollen. It's just such a nice release. Making the room that you sleep in cooler reduces your swelling as well. Number 3 is arsenic or aranic. I'm going to butcher that, but I'm going to put it on screen. Basically, they said 4 days before my operation, start taking this, and it's to reduce bruising. And then for 7 days after my operation, I continued to take it as well. And not going to lie to you, I hardly bruised at all. Whether this was to blame for it all, I'm not entirely sure, but I've read everywhere it's super incredible for bruising, and genuinely, I've seen some people who've had their nose done and they were really, really battered blue. And that just didn't happen to me at all. So I would absolutely ride or die. Definitely recommend taking those. Lots and lots of pillows. Lots and lots of snacks, easy things that you want to eat, because you're not going to really have the energy to want to cook. If you can go and stay at families or friends or someone who's going to look after you, that will genuinely help your experience so much. Expect a dry mouth, so have lots of water on hand. I loved water with ice in it. Just anything really cool, I don't know, it was just keeping me thriving. Oh, and one thing definitely to remember is a cap, you know, like a baseball cap. When I went on walks and I still had the tape on, do you know what? I genuinely didn't really care who knew, like, whatever was going on. But obviously when you've got something on your face, it's natural for people to just be like, whoa, what's that? So a cap can kind of hide it. And actually I got it done in April, and funnily enough, it was just like a really, really rainy time. So it was always raining. So I had my hood up with an umbrella. So no one really saw it when I was on walks. But I'd definitely recommend a cap to just, like, you know, keep out the haters, let you crack on with your steps. No one needs to worry about you or your nose. But honestly, it did not bother me at all, because I just think most people know someone that have had their nose done. Like, it's not a big scandal. I'm sure they'll get over it. And finally, my absolute golden tip that is gonna make you feel like $1,000,000. $1,000,000. We were 7 days in, okay? The first 3 were like the worst. Then you start to get better. But then you realise how grim you are because you've not washed your hair in a week. You've like been in joggers, you've just been walking, eating, sleeping. Like, you just start to feel really minging. Like, you've got no fake tan on, you've got no nails on, you've got nothing because you've had to take it all off for surgery. And I just felt horrific. And I knew it was another week before I could wash my hair, and I was like, this can't continue. Like, I am greasy up in here. I wash my hair every day normally, so this was killing me. Anyway, a 10 out of 10 recommendation. Book yourself into a hairdresser's to get your hair washed. So there was a hairdresser's round the corner from Mum's. I walked in, I was like, hey, well, actually, I gave them the heads up. We don't want to horrify people. I was like, hey, listen, this is the sitch. I've got my nose done, I can't wash my hair, could I come in just purely for a wash? I didn't have the energy for a cut, blow dry. Doesn't need curling, okay? We're just going back home to sleep more, but I just need a good wash. And they were like, absolutely, come on in. So I went in, they were amazing, washed, dried my hair, charged me £5 for it. Absolute babes, and I cannot tell you how much that made a difference to how I felt. So definitely something to think about, and I would highly recommend try and get your hair washed or get someone else to wash it, because on day 7 when you're feeling greasy, it just really picks up your mood. You're gonna feel good. Coming out of it and like 4 months down the line, things I would tell someone who was getting it done, I'd be like, don't worry. Don't worry about the pain. You're not going to be in pain, okay? It's going to be uncomfortable, but if you know it's going to be uncomfortable, you can put up with that. So, sweetie, don't you worry. Multiple opinions. Getting the right person, the right surgeon up front is going to help you with multiple headaches at the end. Go in it with a frame of, this is a one-hit wonder, I'm not getting it done again. Shop around. Do not rush into it just because you're like, I want it done and I want it done now. Like, this is a lifetime decision. Shop around, make sure you feel super comfortable. And once you've found your person, my next piece of advice is be so clear and specific, because my idea of I want a small nose can be very different to someone else's idea of a small nose. So they might have think, yeah, I've given them a small nose, but that's not what a small nose means to you, okay? So like, let's keep opinions out of it. Let's actually draw exactly what you want on photos of you that say, okay, I want this angled up at this kind of like 45 degrees and I want this reducing by, do you know what I mean? Like, be as specific as you could humanly possibly be, and make sure you feel really comfortable in making that decision. Be patient, okay? 2 weeks are going to kill you to see any types of results, but even when they take that thing off, you are still going to be swollen. So don't expect the final results then. Do give yourself a couple of months to see the true results, and really a year to see the final results. 1 week off work, 1 week from working from home, or 2 weeks off work altogether is going to be the minimum that you need. I wish I had an explainer video like this. I really hope it helps. If you have had surgery experiences, are going through the process and have any questions or want to share your experience, please do pop them in the comments below. I love reading through them. Hope you enjoyed. See you soon. Thank you for your time.